Cheers.
Cheers. Welcome to Culture Night,
where each week we drink fancy wine and watch movies that are in some way culturally significant. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Sarah, and we are back for Season 7, Episode 8, a.k.a. the season finale, finally, of of our World War II season. And we are so excited to finish out the season. It has been probably one of my favorites so far. And I think I could keep talking, but we should probably just jump right into what we're drinking.
It's been a long season in that like each episode had like on average like 3 months in between, but it's been busy with life. But we have overall very enjoyed this season and all of our diverse perspectives on World War II, and we'll get to that in our wrap up segment.
Which we will have a bonus episode.
Yes,
that will come out next time. I know I was thinking about that.
Eventually,
it will come out next time, and that will just recap our season and all of our thoughts. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And now I'm going to get you to stop talking because I would like to take a sip of what we are drinking tonight, which is the 2019 Tobin James Petit Verdot James Gang Reserve blend.
Correct. Blend? No, it's just
James Gang Reserve Vineyard.
It's not a blend. There's nothing on the back besides the just very generic whatever thing.
I was just trying to remember all the things you told me 5 minutes ago that I didn't write down.
So we will be going into it blind because all the back of it tells us is that wine has natural flavors and varietal characters and balance.
I'm not getting anything crazy on the nose. It definitely has a good wine smell, but nothing really specific.
Some light jam.
Yeah, nothing crazy. It's very good.
Yeah, not super bold, not too in your face. It's not quite a fat boy by any means.
I think this is going to be very pleasant to drink over the next hour and 50 minutes.
A little sour.
Yep.
Not like a bad sour, but like it's just...
It's definitely a grapey taste. I feel like a lot of the other wines, I tend to get something else, but it definitely has that like Welch's grape. Yeah,
not super raisin or jammy, if you will, or our favorite characteristics.
I feel like there's also like the really earthier ones, and this one definitely has the fruitier taste to it. But so far, it's pretty good.
We will give you our thoughts after the show. Once we had a little bit more time to enjoy the wine, let it open up and have another glass.
Yep. So now, what are we watching tonight?
Tonight, we are watching Dunkirk from 2017, which if you told me this movie was 9 years old now, I would believe you. It feels like one of the newer ones.
So I had this exact thought in my head of you were going to say there's no way that this movie is almost 10 years old as I was typing out the outline earlier today.
Yeah. That's crazy. I still imagine like...
I remember like when it came out and everyone being like, oh, Dunkirk, like it's really good. You should go see it. You should go see it.
I know it's like directed by Christopher Nolan. I remember like there was a really intense like movie trailer for it where it was just like a ticking clock and like a bunch of like clips, like whatever with like a black screen like in between each one. Just gotta like build that suspense and that like feeling of like, so I'm imagining there's gonna be some sort of like time crunch type thing in this, like giving you that clock like ticking forward. But not to get too far into that.
What's the rating?
The movie is rated PG-13, and as I said, it's from 2017. So let's hop into our time machine back to 2017, where the top 3 movies were Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, which grossed $1.3 billion. Is that correct? Jeez.
This is also, remember the website I used to use doesn't, so this might be internationally, and I don't know if maybe the other one was just
or is like including US. Like after like physical movie sales or something, or streaming, who knows?
Yeah, I'm not sure. This is different.
Beauty and the Beast grossing $1.2 billion, and The Fate of the Furious grossing $1.2 billion as well. Dunkirk was all the way down in 19th, grossing just a cool $500 million.
Yeah, I was really surprised to see Beauty and the Beast so high up there because I don't remember it being super popular. The live action one with Emma Watson.
Yeah,
I feel like it didn't get received very well, but apparently a lot of people went to see it. But you know, those Disney movies, they'll get you.
Yeah, I wonder if that was also, was Disney Plus even a thing back in 2017?
Nope. Disney Plus was a thing after 2020.
Wow, yeah. So this must be including all the physical sales and all that sort of stuff. Because if you look at the other number you have there, it's just at $500 million, which sounds more reasonable for like movie sales for something that wasn't like
I promise
Titanic.
I will remember to look this up while we're watching the movie, and we will revisit this.
So in that case, Dunkirk would be all down at just $188 million by that means, but I don't really know what those numbers mean. Anyways, top 3 songs released that year were The Shape of You by Ed Sheeran, Despacito by Luis Fonsi and Daddy Yankee featuring the one and only Justin Bieber. And That's What I Like by Bruno Mars. Wow. Shape of You. And that song's been around forever.
Despacito is what got me. I was like, that was 9 years ago. Because I felt like we were old when Despacito came out. Like, are we kind of on the edge of like not being cool enough to listen to the song? But we definitely did that.
So now we are ancient.
Yeah. That's what I've learned from today's Culture Night.
So anyways, have you seen Dunkirk before?
I have not. Have you?
I have not either. And like I said, what I know about this movie is that it's World War II. There's some sort of like time crunch going on. It takes place in Dunkirk, which as far as I know is like in that area between, or it's in France, like right across from England. And so I imagine it's probably like people trying to leave before the Germans get there, maybe to get out of there.
That'd be interesting.
I don't know.
I don't remember anything about the trailer, so you've got me there. I do know it's a World War II movie, and I assumed it was a battle of some kind, but I know nothing.
Yeah, so maybe it's either that or it has something to do with like that area during D-Day or something, but I think it has Cillian Murphy in it, maybe.
Sure.
We'll find out with all of you guys in the after show.
It's amazing how much I've forgotten in 9 years, but I am very excited to dive into this one. We've also watched so many other World War II movies throughout the season outside of this that it's like, I just want to talk about all of them because they were all so good, but I'm really excited to like sit down and dive into this one. Yeah. So I think we will drink our wine and enjoy Dunkirk.
Yep. Cheers.
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 Welcome back.
That was Dunkirk.
Yeah.
Finally.
We have completed all of the movies. That was
something we'll talk about after we talk about.
I was gonna say, it's a little stressful, not as dark as some of the ones we've seen, but still pretty dark. But before we get too deep into this, let's go into the wine scale. The wine scale is a 0 to 10 scale. However, the scale is heavily weighted given that all of the wines we drink on this show are very good wines. So a low score does not necessarily mean that it is not a good wine because, as I said, all the wines we drink are very good. And it's heavily weighted. So that being said, I'm going to rate this wine a 3.6.
I gave it a 6.
It's fine.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I would drink it again and again. I'd recommend it.
If you're looking for one that's like not going to off-put anyone, it's going to be a crowd pleaser, like sure, it's great like that. We've had some really good wines that like really just blow your socks off. I could drink a bunch of this. It wasn't bad. It wasn't too sour. It wasn't too anything. It just didn't have anything to really like differentiate itself from other wines we've had there. So that's why I kind of went like below the 5 line. It's still a good wine. You're going to enjoy it if you have it.
I enjoyed it start to finish. But, so that's just me.
I've left the bottle over there. I'm not going to go get it. So it was the 2019.
Tobin James, 2019, James Gang Reserve, Petit Verdot.
Correct. So
we'll have it for the after show. Yeah. Slept on it. This is the after show. Slept on it.
After we sleep, we'll get these segments right. Anyways, moving into the movie rating out of 10, I'm going to rate it a... Well, you said you gave the wine a 6. I was giving the movie a 6. So
all right. I am also writing this down so I don't forget it for the after show for Slept on It. I am giving this movie a 4.5.
You want to go into that? I'll go into mine after you.
I do. I needed more information. I understand Christopher Nolan, was trying to be artsy fartsy, but I am also coming into this trying to learn about this. I don't know anything about Dunkirk. I don't know what happened there. I didn't realize I needed to research the actual event prior to watching the movie. The mixed timelines was confusing for me, and I needed more explanation on that. And although I appreciate the cinematic take on it, as an audience member, I needed more.
Yeah, I get that. I guess I think in the past decade since this movie came out, I had researched Dunkirk and what had happened there. So I assumed, so in the previous pre-show, I had forgotten that I'd researched this on Wikipedia a long time ago. So I kind of knew mostly what was going on. And the non-linear chronology, I'm just used to that with Christopher Nolan movies, that it sometimes is just like really jerky. Also, he did Memento, which also is extremely non-linear, so I'm used to those kind of things. It didn't bother me too much once I realized what was going on. I just didn't.
I guess my brain just couldn't fully process what it meant by the quick subtitles that meant nothing to me in the first 4 seconds of the movie. That it wasn't until hour into the movie that I was like, oh, maybe that's what that meant.
Yeah.
That it was confusing and left me just like, I wish I had more information.
They gave like the little bit at the beginning of like something break, sentence, break. And it didn't give you a little bit of context. This needed a like Star Wars style, like the separatists are in this battle. And
I want the scroll.
We needed the whole scroll to really get the context of it. The couple sentences didn't really do that enough. And yeah, I get that. That's why I didn't rate it much higher. I still really enjoyed it. And I loved seeing this. I loved the stress, the way that the pace of this like just gave you that tension the whole time. I liked that it drew that out of me.
I mean, all of that was great. But I know that 95% of the people that watched this movie for the first time were like me and knew absolutely nothing about it. And I just feel confused. Yeah. And I did some mild Wikipediaing in the last 30 minutes because I was like, I need some context to know what's going on.
Wikipediaing of the
event,
battle, not the movie.
The movie, yeah. So I just feel like, especially for World War II movies, like I am watching them to be educated about, especially if it's like a specific event. Boy in the Striped Pajamas was obviously fictionalized, but like the ones that are about battles or like specific things, like I want to learn about it. And I didn't learn anything from this besides that a bunch of people escaped or like were able to get out of France.
Yeah.
But did they even really specifically say France? Like, were you just like supposed to infer it? Like I needed
they talk about the French and whatever.
I needed a lot more.
I think this definitely could have done with a post movie, like here's what happened to this particular people, or like because of these actions that saved the lives of X, or they were able to do that. And they kind of did that with Kenneth Branagh being like, oh, they wanted 30,000 and we got 300,000 people out of here.
But I needed more.
Right. I get it. So. You're one of those new Gen Zers who need the plot repeated every 5 seconds.
I love that you think I'm so young. Not that I need the plot repeated every 5 seconds. I just need to know what's going on. I needed context.
Yeah. And I get that. Like I kind of had that before. But speaking of the context, I think the next thing is the movie description. So I will go first as always. A bunch of Britishers and I guess some French and possibly others are stranded in France as Germany takes over France. They need to get the heck out of there to get back to Britain. However, there's a whole bunch of German Air Force and U-boats that are just attacking anyone trying to cross the English Channel to get back. Assuming that's the English Channel, it's part of whatever, between the waterway there. So the soldiers are trying to figure out any way they can possibly get back and weathering all sorts of adversity to try to get back. It's told from this perspective of several different groups, and calamity ensues.
Question. All right. The description according to the TV. Oh man. Also, just quick side note. This movie came out on July 18th, 2017. And we are recording this on July 15th, 2026.
3 more days.
So almost exactly 9 years to the day that this movie came out. So just fun fact. Who knows when this will actually come out. The description according to the TV is the story of the miraculous evacuation of Allied soldiers from Belgium, Britain, Canada, and France. Canada? Who said anything about Canada?
I guess
news to me.
French Canada, you know?
So we're just supposed to assume? I don't know.
Yeah.
I get angry the more
I don't think we saw any Canadians in this that I know
of. Who were cut off and surrounded by the German army from the beaches and harbor of Dunkirk between May 26th and June 4th, 1940. 1940? During World War II. I thought this was like 1945. There was no dates given. Like there was no information.
Well, you know, like the French occupation, like D-Day was towards the end of the war, or the latter half of it. This was like Germany taking over, so obviously they had to take over, sit there for a while, formulate a plan, come take on D-Day. You knew it was earlier in the war.
I mean, I just didn't think about it. I feel like also like most of the things besides obviously Pearl Harbor, which was beginning of like the American portion of the war. I don't know. They're like, let's get out so that we can hold on to Britain, which just feels like we're at the end of the war. We got to hold on to what we've got kind of situation without context and just going into this cold after not having watched one of these movies in a while.
They talk about the war coming to Britain and Churchill addressing them being like, you know, all these people coming from Dunkirk, whatever. Now we have to like prepare to take on this battle. I think that's when a lot of the bombing of Britain started taking place. Now that they had more like land closer to bombing London. I
promise I know a lot about World War II. I just like, I need... My brain just needs some information.
You need the plot spelled out for you every...
Like, no. It just needs like, this is the date. This is where we are. Like, I mean, honestly, maps help too, but I don't need a map because I can do that myself. But just a little bit more information to go into it so that I can like process, like based on all the books I've read, all the movies that we've watched for this podcast and for ourselves, that like to filter all that information into like, where does this fall in this 5 to 7 year timeline of the war?
See, you said maps, and I'm thinking Map Tap, the movie, and I'm really intrigued on what that could be.
Ooh.
Those of you who do not play Map Tap, please,
You should
play it. It's
So
very
good.
fun. We have no affiliation with them at all, but it's very fun.
Oh my gosh, it's the
Played
best.
every
We've
day.
learned so much. We knew a lot, but we like have learned so much. Highly recommend.
No
Anyways,
affiliation, no sponsor, just fun.
just
game.
love. Anyways, was the movie what you expected? You were pretty good.
Mostly, I didn't really think it was going to be told as much from like the soldiers like trying several ways. I thought that it was going to be more about the like big civilian army coming in there and all that sort of stuff. I'd say 80% yes is what I expected, but not fully.
I mean, I'll definitely give it a good like 50 to 60% yes. Something happens, they got to get out. That seems to be most of the plots of most of the World War II movies. The specifics of,
But no Matt
like
Damon
you
this
said,
time.
as soon as the movie started, I was like, oh, it's going to be like the Germans advancing in from the mainland towards the coast. And that was not the case at all. So
How well did it age?
fine.
He's only 9 years old, still spring chicken. We're just ancient. Could the movie be made today? Probably. It was only made yesterday, 9 years ago. Did they say the title of the movie in the movie? Plenty
Did
of
they?
times. They said it in like the first like 3 minutes because it was
He's
named
so
after
quick
the
to be
town
like,
where
title of the movie. Got it.
got it. This one was very easy because it wasn't called like the Dunkirk or
The Battle at Dunkirk or
it was just Dunkirk.
Dunkirk.
Said it several times. Does the title fit the movie?
sure.
Yeah.
Talking about what happened there.
I'm not sure what other great name you could give.
The Great Escape.
There you go. I don't think anyone's seen
I've
that.
never come up with a good movie title. Today's the day. Took me almost 7 full seasons.
Does the rating fit the movie? PG-13?
Yes.
I guess so.
I mean, it was not gory or
you saw
particularly
very
gruesome.
little like blood of anything.
We've seen a lot this season, and I think this
And there
was
was
one of the
very little
more
dialogue in the first like 80% of the movie that you could make the case that it could not make the case that it should be R for language.
for language and stuff. Yeah.
Could you make a case that it's a Christmas movie?
Could you?
I don't think so because it took
Took
place
place.
over the course of like a week and it seemed to be fairly warm waters
Yep.
based on everyone swimming in there and not dying.
I don't know. Cillian Murphy is shivering soldier, so
True.
that's the one thing we did look up. Is that his official?
His official role in this was Shivering Soldier, which I'm just imagining Cillian Murphy reading for the role of Shivering Soldier in this in the year of 2017. Anyway, meanwhile, like everyone else had names in the credits, but not him. So, were there any actors that went on to do bigger things? There
Yes.
was Barry Keoghan. I don't know if you say his last name. He's been in a whole
No
lot of
disrespect.
things.
We just don't. We want to. We
Yes.
wish we knew how to say it. We don't.
He's been in a whole lot of things since
Masters
then.
of the Air. Again, we love it.
I feel like wasn't he in that Saltburn? Saltburn. Yeah, I think he was in that.
Did we watch that?
I don't think we have watched it yet.
I saw it and I had heard of it, but I was like, I don't think we've
No,
seen it.
he's been in a bunch of things as kind of like a weird-ish off-brand person, but I think we've seen that one. But he was in a lot of things over the course of like a 3-year period recently. So it really hit his stride. There was Harry Styles, which
Yes. That's the one
I
I
was
got.
like, that guy looks so familiar, but Harry
Harry
Styles
Styles.
makes sense. He was an infant in this.
Yes, because it was almost 10 years ago.
I didn't know he was an actor, but he did a fantastic job.
I don't know that he is. I think he does SNL and he does this movie
Singing
and
was
sings.
his main thing, is what I would say. he
Yes.
does. Do bigger things, not as much. I mean, we mentioned Cillian Murphy, Kenneth Branagh,
Gilderoy Lockhart.
Lockhart. There you go. There were other people there was what's his face that Mark Rylance, that I think he looks so familiar, but I cannot place what I know him from. But he did fantastic as the like dad boat driver.
Yes, I was convinced he was in a Harry Potter movie, but I couldn't figure out which one. He just gives the energy of a Harry Potter person.
He was apparently in like Don't Look Up. He was in a couple other things that I have seen. I don't think you've seen Don't Look Up. But I don't know what I know him from, but he looks very familiar. Moving on.
What impact do you think this movie had on pop culture? I do remember people talking about it. I remember it being like have you seen it? You should go see it. Particularly amongst my family members who don't often go to the movies, being like, we should go see this. And me being like, do you go to the movies?
It was a Christopher Nolan movie, and back in 2017, it was still only 9 years removed from The Dark Knight. So Christopher Nolan movies, you obviously have, you've got like Memento, Dark Knight Rises, Inception, a whole bunch of like movies. He's made a lot of really good movies.
Did he do Oppenheimer?
Oppenheimer director Christopher Nolan.
Okay.
Yes, did Oppenheimer. He's done a lot
Culture
of like
Night.
really big movies that I think his hit rate is like very high for he puts out a movie. It's very, very good, very well received. So I think this was just kind of another one of like, you should go see it because this guy doesn't miss. Same they're like a James Cameron type person where like the movies are very, really, well received. I don't think this really affected pop culture that much. There's not really a lot of references that you see in anything. So I think it was just kind of like another like good movie.
Talked about, but it was not like mentioned in other things. That like there are certain like probably more like comedy style movies that we've seen that I feel like, oh, this really affected pop culture, but this not so much.
Not this one. Do you feel cultured after watching it?
Yes.
Yes, especially because I think this fills another gap of perspectives of World War II that we did not have.
This season rocks. Like I feel so cultured, and we're gonna really hit on this in our bonus episode to like reflect on the season. But like, man, it's been a great season.
Who would have thought that something called a world war would have so many different perspectives, and that it wasn't just like the Europe Pacific War?
And like, it's also so hard for me to not talk about, like, we've watched the movie Pressure, which is just like another perspective of World War II, and we just keep watching movies within the podcast and outside of the podcast where we're just like, gosh, there's just so much that for people to talk about. No wonder there are so many books and movies and things created about this, because everybody's story is different.
You know what World War II movie like we didn't cover this season also was The Notebook.
We've already covered it, so we can't do it again.
Another World War II movie. Technically, he goes and fights in World War II, and whatever the actor that plays E also like dies in that war. But I'm at the point where I'm like picturing a globe, and I'm like, what perspectives have we not covered? Like, what happened in Australia during World War II? What happened in Iceland during World War II?
Oh,
what happened in
Iceland? In for it.
What happened in the Middle East and India? Like, what happened in those places? Because we've seen a whole lot that I did not know.
Do we also need to start adding a question? Like, could you make the case that this is a World War II
movie? I mean, at this point, maybe.
Maybe. We might circle back to this.
So that covers our culture questionnaire. I don't remember who went first for any of these.
Nobody has any
3
clue
years.
who went last. So if you want to go first.
Rochambeau.
Oh, Rochambeau. Are we doing best of three or
best
just
of three?
Okay.
I win.
Like,
I want you to know.
we haven't done that in so long. You did the same thing every time.
Yep. For those of you that didn't that weren't watching, we just did rock, paper, scissors, and I did scissors every single time, and I still won best of 3.
I just like haven't actively played rock, paper, scissors in so long that my brain was like,
you forgot what beats
what
what. Yes.
Okay.
It's a winning strategy. Play scissors every time. Anyways, I will go first.
Go for it.
My first note was, why would you leave your rifle? I get that like people are shooting at you. This is in the opening scenes. The main
It's jammed.
boy. It's
Tommy.
jammed, but
His
like,
name is Tommy.
But you think like,
I might be able to fix this in 5 minutes when I'm not under heavy fire.
but also I feel like bullets and guns are kind of necessary for a war and like fighting. And you don't know like where you're going or when you might need this again. That I'd rather have it than not have it. I get that you want to be like faster and jump over a wall, but I personally would have kept mine.
100%.
We did see later they had like a whole wall of guns for all the soldiers that left, just like sitting there.
But he never took one. He was without a gun for the entire rest of the movie.
Yeah, it's not as useful when you're just like trying to get a ship across. You're not going to really shoot.
But don't you want one?
Although all the
Just
guys
in
were like
case.
shooting at the planes. Well, not all
I
the
thought
guys.
that was dumb.
A couple were though.
I was like, do you really think you're going to shoot that plane down?
Well, not like 3 or 4, but like maybe like 100,000.
True.
Might have been like some anti-air force. They'd be like, hey, a plane's coming. Let's all get everyone in a line and just like shoot in this direction. Might have a good shot of hitting it.
It was the one guy that I was like, I don't think you've got much luck there, bud.
No, we saw him get blown up by a bomb. My next note was Barry Keoghan, the guy that looks very familiar, was in a lot of things. My next note was, do planes really make that sound when they're approaching? That like all of the enemy planes made that sound. The American planes didn't. Was that just kind of like a a movie choice, or was that something where it's like you hear the impending dread of like the German planes coming in? It was like how they were made. They did make a note that it's different engines. They sound differently, but
personally in the movie, I did not notice the difference between the planes. But being somebody who lives where planes fly over my house all the time, I hear them all the time. They definitely, I mean, and these are like not this kind of plane. They are passenger planes, obviously.
Not prop planes.
But I always hear them. So, I mean, they have to make some kind of, I can't, of course, think of it off the top of my head because I don't really pay attention to it because we hear it all the time.
Yeah.
But
it sounds like it'd be a really bad way of like masking yourself if your plane just made like a sound every time you were getting close. But it also,
what can you do if you're
enemies,
a person on the ground? Like, but
right.
Duck and cover, that's killed me. I'm like, I mean, good luck if you just duck and cover for bullets.
I was
bombs.
wondering about that. They saw the planes coming, and you saw everyone just kind of started like shrinking down. And I'm like, is that going to help? I guess it's like a smaller attack surface, but or is that just like a reflex? Did they teach that in the army, or was that just kind of like a? That
was like just before a nuclear bomb's coming. Get under your
duck
desk.
And cover. That'll
You're fine. It very much tracks for me that they would just like cover their heads.
My next note was I could never be a fighter pilot. This was during the scene where they were showing the perspective like behind, or either behind a plane or of a plane, of a pilot's perspective, where he was turning, but it was keeping the plane of the movie like. So you were just kind of like seeing basically what he would see as everything was moving. I'm like, I would get motion sickness so bad.
I mean, have you met me? Of course I would.
It would take me years, if ever, to not throw up every time I flew. And
I was having a similar thought of one, the claustrophobia of being in a plane and knowing that like, I mean, I already get like nervous on giant passenger planes, that to be in this plane where I'm in charge of it. And if something goes wrong, like, what do I do? Bail out over the ocean?
Apparently just cruise down.
And then just also the inability to see around me. When they're like, oh, I don't know if like, I think he's behind me or whatever. Like when you can't have the full perspective of what's around you and especially someone shooting at you, I couldn't do it.
Yeah. I would for sure want a rear view mirror. And I think
they did kind of have something like that where I was like, okay, at least you have something, but it made me uncomfortable.
Yeah. But also you've got clouds and the sun.
Yeah. They flew into a cloud at one point and I was like, that feels very dangerous. Don't do that.
Yes. If someone did that, I'd be like, I lost him forever. I will never find that plane again.
Goodbye.
My next note was, and they answered this later, my next note was, where was the Royal Navy? They're just sitting there getting attacked, pounded on. But I think they kind of said the Royal Navy, they're like saving that because they needed to defend Britain at that point. But it just seemed kind of crazy that they're just trying to have these ships go across the sea over and over again with no escort. But also they showed that U-boats everywhere, and you just never know when one is going to pop up. And it's definitely risky to have a full-on destroyer or any other like ships out there just possibly getting sunk by that.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
It's wild. So scary.
I
have a note on that. I'll touch on it in a second.
Yeah. My next note was, what time of year was this? Because they're swimming in the waters.
Again, a date.
My understanding is that like in those waters north of France, it's going to be cold like year round.
Let's remember.
They're just chilling in there.
We swam in Lake Lucerne in September. It was
pretty
mid
cold.
to late to September. And it was pretty cold in mid to late September.
And that's Lucerne. That's very south of where this was.
Yeah.
That I'm like, how often is it nice to just kind of swim out here for like hours or like the soldiers out there?
And that, like, I had the same thought too of like, again, you said it, like Cillian Murphy's shivering soldier. Like he gets on, he looks cold. The guy that was supposedly a spy, I don't know, on the deck is like shivering and stuff. And I'm like, it looks cold, but is it December? Is it February? Is it June? Like, I don't know. And apparently, according to the TV, we have the exact date, but like, it's May 26th or whatever, 1940 during the first 1 week. Like just that starter on the first one would have gone a long way for the whole rest of the movie. Yeah. It's easy. It's just a little, I edit some stuff. I'm the one that edits these podcasts, the videos on YouTube. Like it's not hard to just type that out really fast. I don't know.
This is also like a historical event that took place in a really specific small period of time that you should be able to show that. But I know that even here in like the southern United States during the summertime, you get out of the water and if there's like not direct sunshine, there's like a slight breeze, you're going to feel pretty cold. That there in, between England and France, you're in the middle of the ocean, pretty stiff wind that I saw there. I'm like, it's pretty cold. They're swimming around there, but I'm like, oh yeah, it's. They did mention at one point, Cillian Murphy like yells out like, you'll be warm enough, like you'll be fine. I'm like, you don't need to be that cold to get hypothermia.
Yep.
And they're just all swimming in and out of the water like it's nothing.
I mean, we went to the Outer Banks last week in early July, and there was a day where I told my children, it's too cold. I cannot get in the pool because it was like 85 degrees outside and the pool water was much colder than that.
And the ocean water was freezing when I swam in it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The ocean was so cold that I can't imagine what it must have been like.
My next note was, did they act this knowing the music would be so loud? So in this, they're acting these scenes, what's his face breaking his neck and like going blind and all that sort of stuff. And there's like intense scenes, and the music is just like really like, present behind it and very loud and overpowering on the scene. Did they act that knowing like, hey, you're gonna act this, but you're gonna be kind of part of this big, I don't know, soundtrack that's going on there?
Yeah, I mean, there were several times where I was like, do I ask him to turn it down because it's so loud? I know you're a big sound person, and for me, I don't need that. The sound overwhelms me. Especially the soundtrack was so like in your bones kind of soundtrack that I was like, I need like less of that so that I can focus on
what
Hans
Zimmer does is kind of use that to push things forward. But I wonder in these situations where the soundtrack is supposed to kind of give this feeling, this foreboding, did they have anything while they were
dialogue?
Very much for the first like half of the movie. Did they have that playing or have some sort of idea of that while they're acting this out, or is the script basically, hey, here's the whole script, and afterwards it's scored entirely and just overpowers all the acting?
Do they just like assume like you're on the water, you're in a shitty boat, yell? Yeah. I mean, I also just imagine most of war is just yelling over the bullets, the bombs.
But they were like a full like heartfelt scene of being like, I told my dad, whatever, or like back in school, I didn't do all this. Is like heartfelt scene, and the music is just like overpowering all of that. Yeah.
It just seems like kind of a Hans Zimmer thing, but like also more so a Christopher Nolan thing of like, let me just go cinematic.
From my experience, it's very much a Christopher Nolan thing, but they also kind of go hand in hand. My next note was, what is a Highlander?
Don't know.
Because they call that out. A bunch of like soldiers going through, they're like, hey, Highlanders, and they refer to each other as Highlander.
And we also had the subtitles on because it's with how loud the soundtrack is.
Yeah, the accents.
And the accents, like it's so much easier to read it so you know what everybody's saying. But I was like, Highlander. All I could think of was Radford.
Yeah, well, yes, very much Radford University. But also like Highlander, there can only be one, the whole like movie Highlander. I'm like, what does that mean, especially in the terms of a World War II regiment or the group of men running around?
No idea.
We'll find out, hopefully.
Let's circle back. I'll make a note for the after show.
My next note was, surely they would have given the pilots something to break the glass with.
Right.
There's the one pilot goes down gracefully over the water. He tries to like open his whatever roof glass thing so he can get out, and it's jammed. He's got like some sort of like piece of pipe, it looks like.
It's like his gun. Or like a flare gun.
But wouldn't they have had like something to be like, hey, you might crash and hear something with a sharp point to...
I mean, we've all seen those commercials now in 2026 where you get that thing that will cut your seatbelt and break the glass and get you out.
Did they not have anything? Did nobody think like, hey, pilots might go down in a place where like maybe this gets jammed and you need to get the F out?
How stressed for you when the guy at the end, he opened it and then he closed it again, which we also didn't talk about him. He was in something that we watched recently.
Rush Warrior. It's Tom Hardy. He's in a lot of things.
Yes.
He's also in The Dark Knight and he was in The Dark Knight Rises.
So
Christopher Nolan.
Did he go on to do it, or had he already done things?
He had already done it. I think that was 2012.
Was he in Mobland?
Yes.
Okay. That's where I'm primarily thinking of him.
Main guy from Mobland, yes. He's in
Good
a lot
show.
of things.
Also should check that out.
Recommend. My last note was, where was it filmed? Because the water was like crystal clear in a lot of places.
Right.
Was this actually filmed in Dunkirk, or was this filmed in the Caribbean?
I did have those same thoughts of like, man, the water's really blue, but also just having been again at the Outer Banks where I don't think of the water as being super blue and clear, but we did have a couple days where it was very clear and easy to see through, that I was like, maybe right day, right time, you get this kind of weather.
I just imagine the water around Britain being just really murky all the time.
Yep. All the foam on the shores of France. I was like, that feels right for this area.
And cloudy and gray. Yep. It's just exactly what I pictured. That it was weird being like, hey, it's warm enough to swim in, and also the water's crystal clear.
Like, and maybe that's just like slightly marred by the fact that we went to England in late November, and it was.
But I feel like it's just the vibe of England. It's like, oh, you're just always cold. You're wearing your sweaters, drinking your tea year round. Oh man, I think they're going through like a heat wave right now with the whole heat dome thing.
The vibe, though.
Not the heat wave. Interested in researching for the subtitle segment of where this was filmed, in addition to what's a Highlander and all those other things.
Yes, and I'm writing it all down because we're actually going to remember.
Yes, and on to your notes.
On to my notes. I don't have many. Good. I forgot this was my first one. My first note is he gonna have to poop this whole movie?
Oh, that would have been a great plot. I forgot about that.
Because like you think like at the very beginning they're throwing the flyers down, which first of all, my real first note that I should have written down is like I would be stuffing those in my pocket, being like somebody's gonna want these in a museum later because this is some like propaganda craziness. And it's like, oh, he's gonna like he's obviously about to poop. Like he'll use this to wipe his butt, and then firing, and then like he goes to poop again, and he comes across this other guy.
It never poops again.
And then it never comes up again. But I was just really expecting this to be a plot point for the rest of the movie because it came up twice very quickly.
Like in high moments of stress, you just like absorb the poop back.
I don't know.
Is that what happens? Because they never really touched on that again.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, he did not poop in the situations where he pulled his pants down and started going. He
would have needed a scooge more time all of the times he tried.
Yeah.
So that was my first note. Totally forgot I wrote that down. Okay, my next note is that the soundtrack definitely has that ominous, foreboding feeling that you were talking about because you said you saw like the trailer had this like time ticking. I feel like we are going to have to go back and watch the trailer immediately. We're going to do when this ends. And the soundtrack from this, I wrote within the first like 5 to 10 minutes. And I was like, well, I feel pretty stressed. So check. But again, Hans Zimmer nailed it. I should have known it was Hans Zimmer. I didn't think it was John Williams, but I was like, this has to be somebody with like notoriety. I should have known.
I feel like Spielberg and John Williams is the same as Christopher Nolan and Hans Zimmer. Just go hand in hand.
Did Christopher Nolan direct The Holiday?
I do not.
Hans Zimmer certainly scored it, but I don't think Christopher Nolan directed it. Okay, my next note is the cutest little European beach towns, starting with them in the streets of Dunkirk. And then whatever British town they're in where they take their boat, the Navy's commandeering it to whatever. I was just like, this is my vibe. This is what I love about Europe so much. Like it just has this energy, and they have their cute little sweaters and like the boats, and like, oh, I just love it so much.
When what's his face ran out in that initial village where he was being shot at and goes to go poop. Yeah. No, not Barry Keoghan, the main guy.
Tommy? Yes, Tommy.
When he runs out onto like the beach and there's all the soldiers there, they kind of look back and there's a bunch of like storefronts there, and it felt very like 1970s, which is weird because this was like the 40s in
It almost gave me like hurricane in the 1990s energy of like, we're boarding up our walls because there's a hurricane coming.
Very much that. Like the vibe was surprising for what that whole
but I'm also like,
looked like.
I, having been in Europe and like seen all those like cute little cafes in the corner and stuff, I'm like, I see where that was probably still a vibe even in the 1940s. They're cafe people, but seeing it all boarded up, just like thinking about all those like businesses and things that went out of business. So sad.
And what that looked like probably before that, and who knows what it looks like now.
Right. Maybe we'll have to go visit. If we visit, we'll do it.
If we have to.
If we have to, we'll share some pics on the Instagrams. But anyways, just we love Europe. And then my next note again is just like probably not that much later. The soundtrack is going to give me a panic attack. It was the same and it just was relentless. And I was like, I'm going to lose my mind. I'm so stressed. Everybody's going to die now.
It did a great job of being like, we're not going to let you forget this is happening. Things are moving forward. Time is moving forward, sometimes non-linearly, but you never know what's going to happen.
Definitely, this would be a good case study for like film students and like how scores can change a movie. Because if you like silence this and put any other soundtrack behind it and then put this, you're like, oh, that's the one.
I would love to see this scored like 3 or 4 ways and have people watch this with heart rate monitors and just watch the difference. Because I feel like with this, you're going to get the highest of them, whatever.
As someone who has learned to appreciate cinema and like the way they do it well. It may not always be for me, but I appreciate that it is done for a specific purpose. And like having learned so much about that, and then also like listening to all the rewatch podcasts of like just like people talking about how movies and things are made and all the stuff that we've learned here on our podcast, that like I just feel like that's and just loving the scientific method the way that you and I do. That's I think about that a lot. And I think we talked about it a lot with Pirates of the Caribbean, like the different scores, like how that would make a difference. That I support what that would look like. What would this, like a couple of scenes of this look like with like any other movie score?
So I'm also interested to see how much of this was filmed knowing the score versus not knowing the score. I imagine most of it was filmed not knowing the score and it was just added afterwards. That like, what were they told? What did they understand? What did the script look like?
How do you like put that to your actors as the director? Like, how do you...
The director is like, yeah, it's fine. Go ahead and act that. Yeah, that's good enough. I'm just going to go ahead and cover
We're good. We'll make it
audio
work.
anyways.
Crazy. Okay, my next note is going back, kind of touching on something that you talked about, is that being on a ship in a war is my actual nightmare. I mean, this was early on before any of the bombs hit any of the ships. Just the idea of, well, one, I have visited Pearl Harbor IRL. I think I had my first like mild panic attack touring one of the submarines, because I was like, this is so claustrophobic. And knowing what had happened at Pearl Harbor, it was like an audio tour, and my parents I was like, I'm gonna be outside, I'll see you later, I cannot be in here. And I just stood on top of the boat because I couldn't be in there. It was just so stressful to me. And then the idea of them being like, oh, come on boys, come down below, get down below. I'm not being somewhere where I'm gonna be shut.
They locked them in too. They like shut those doors.
Nope.
Like the door that Gibson opened up to save them. Was that when there was just like happened to be another door there, or did they be like, hey, all boys, go down here and we're going to lock you in while you eat this food? Also, like,
why would you lock them in?
Or would you lock them in? Also, wouldn't it like probably smell like ass with like that many people all sweaty being just saved and whatever? Like,
I just imagine the general smell of World War II is ass.
Right?
Like,
especially
those boys are not very
just
clean.
Rescued from like the ocean.
Yeah.
Pulled aboard to various
and
things.
Wet.
It's wet, salty. You're just going to lock them all in there.
Yeah.
Seems pretty gross. You'd probably want as many doors open to like ventilate that. I don't know if there was like some sort of protocol.
I was going to say, is there like a safety reason?
Yeah, like, oh, you got to close all these in case there's
but
like...
also it seems like they killed a lot of people by having them all.
Yeah. Personally, I would have left them more open just to be like, hey, you can escape. You may take on water, but if the water level is up to where it's going to go in those doors, your ship's already lost anyways. Yeah. Just seemed kind of crazy to be like, yeah, we're going to put you down here and lock you up. And also we mentioned there's U-boats in the area.
Yeah, that's my actual nightmare. And I think that's also why I get so nervous about the idea of going on a cruise. Not that we've never been on a cruise, but the idea of those
not many U-boats attacking cruise ships.
Yes. And
as far as I know.
We would probably not be sailing where there are icebergs like the Titanic. Like I know all of those things, but having seen the Titanic and having seen enough World War II movies, I'm just like, I just have a big fear of the water and boats and all those things. And then my last note, which I've kind of already touched on as it is that I just need a lot more narrative on what's going on. And this most of my notes are like the first 20 minutes of the movie. And this was like 75-80% of the way through the movie where I'm like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what year it is. I don't know what month it is. I don't know how all these timelines intersect. I kind of see how they're coming together, but I'm really confused. And I don't even know like what the end goal is here. Like obviously, D-Day, like D-Day, I guess is more
cut over of like, here's this place and said like 1 week and the other thing said 1 hour. And it didn't give any context of like, what do you mean 1 week and 1 hour?
Yeah. That they were like, oh, look, we're giving you some information, but like, that's not the information I needed. I needed like a lot more than that.
Were any of these based on real people? Were they just, who knows? Or
even like in that first, like we talked about the scroll at the beginning, which was just like 3 sentences. If they had said like this took place between this date and this date in 1940, like sure, then I would have at least had some context. And then like maybe the 1 week, 1 day, 1 hour would have made more sense. But it just like there was no context given at the beginning that I was just like, I don't know what's happening. And I would like a lot more description. And
yeah, was it like 1 week was them on the beach, like trying to get across? 1 day was the boat coming across to save everyone going back, and 1 hour was the plane?
Yes.
Must have been. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure, again, based on the mild Wikipediaing that I've done, is that it was a week of being on the beach, and then a day of and then they all merged towards the end. And even like I started to look at the Wikipedia plot page because I was like, I'm confused. Like I need to look at this so I can figure out what's going on. But the first thing was like like with merging plots, this is like a chronological sequence of what happens. And I was like, even this is probably going to be confusing. So I'm not even going to bother reading this right now. But I mean, I get trying to be creative with it, but as an audience member, it left me wanting more.
Yep.
But that's all my notes.
So anyways, we will catch you all in the Savannah segment. Yes. And we'll go further into this and see whether our scores change, whether we have other reflections, whether we learned anything
what
great.
else we can learn about this movie. All the questions that we've talked about, we will try to answer them, and we will be back
momentarily.
In 3 seconds. Cheers.
Cheers.
We are back.
We've slept briefly on it.
Life of Parents. And we are ready to talk about Dunkirk. So does your rating change after sleeping on it? You rated it a 6 and I rated it a 4.5.
Maybe it could go up to like a 6.5 at most. But I think overall, like, I think based on my general criteria of things like rewatchability, overall enjoyment, historical significance, I think that 6.5 kind of still feels about right.
Yes, I'm also going to stick with my 4.5.
Mm-hmm.
But
sorry, just to justify my rating going up is more just because like doing more research here, I found some interesting facts and just the way they told the story kind of added to my enjoyment overall of the movie, and we'll get to that in our fact snacks.
Yes, I'm looking forward to hearing your fact snacks. Maybe we should start doing these. Does your rating change after we share all of our fact snacks? So we have all the information.
True.
You know, stay tuned for season 8.
End. Yeah, that sounds smart.
But yeah, I'm sticking with my 4.5 because it was a well done movie. I appreciate the cinematic nature of it. I don't particularly want to watch it again. I did learn something. I don't think it had a big cultural significance. Mm-hmm. I don't think I'm going to quote it because there's not many lines to quote.
So you're just putting the word Dunkirk.
So for me, I think 4.5 rings true. It's not to say that it's a bad movie. A lot of that is just not my personal storytelling.
I think overall the historical significance was that I otherwise probably would never have heard about the story of Dunkirk. It's not something that's like broadly covered in like American education systems. Mm-hmm. So unless you're like a big World War II buff in the US, you probably weren't really aware of it. So this kind of brought more light to a really very interesting story.
Yeah. So I guess now it is time to jump into our fact snacks.
All right.
So I am going to start first because this is not specifically about Dunkirk. It was just, we had talked in the before show of what do the different money amounts on our screenshot of the top grossing movies for the year, because we had been using one website. They redid their website and don't have the information the same as the way that we have been presenting them. So I found a new website to get this information from. And so I did go back and look, and the big number that was like 1 billion is the worldwide total. And then the smaller number that is in the screenshot I had in our document is the domestic total. So if you resort it based on just the domestic total, Dunkirk went up from 19 worldwide to 14.
Went from 19 overall, you mean?
Yeah, 19 overall around the world to 14 domestically here in the United States. And then the top 3 stayed the same. Or top 2 stayed the same, but Wonder Woman jumped up into number 3.
Interesting.
So that was just a little bit of housekeeping that I forgot to do in the after show, but we're doing it now.
All right.
So
better Nathan Lover.
Yes, you can jump into your fact snacks about the movie.
So the first one I'm going to jump into is about the historical accuracy, and some of the storylines were based on a particular person. Some of them, like the commander that was on the shoreline, was actually based on a couple different people. And apparently people were kind of upset with how he was portrayed, that the commander on the shoreline. But what I found extremely interesting was the actual story of the father and son who came out and like took the boat out there. He was inspired by Charles Lightoller, who was actually the second officer of the Titanic, survived that, and then came back, and the whole story is basically almost like word for word what happened in there, where they had to dodge a ship or a plane that was coming and attacking him, and he used a method that his son, who had died early in the war, had taught him to kind of like wait for the plane to kind of commit to its line and then jump off of that. Like that like actually happened. So that's amazing. Can you imagine having survived the Titanic?
Oh God.
Only to end up in this situation? Like that's the kind of guy who's like not going to give any F's where he's sailing into. Absolutely. He's going to be like, I'm just going to go get my boys.
Exactly.
Like,
but that also
not
doesn't
at all phased by all these ships sinking.
that doesn't surprise me that that's the storyline that is like actually based on real people, because apparently one of my snacks is that Christopher Nolan got the idea for this movie. He'd heard about the Battle of Dunkirk his whole life apparently, and then he actually like was inspired to do it because he and his wife and some friends were actually crossing the English Channel like in a passenger boat like these people were, and just seeing how treacherous that water can be, and they were expecting everyday citizens to just go out and do it. He was like, and apparently they were only supposed to take a couple of hours for them to do it, and it ended up taking them almost 24. So he's like, okay, after personally experiencing this, not in wartime, to know that these people were like going out in these aggressive waters, but also going into war, and they were just like everyday citizens, was just like a story he felt like he needed to tell.
They did say that the water during the movie was actually rougher than what it would have been that day, but it made for like better storytelling, but it was still not an easy, it's still like 40 some miles that you're still traveling across there in a small boat like that. It's still pretty treacherous with U-boats and planes bombing you and all of that. Like, still intense.
So do you want to do some more, or do you want me to do another one?
You can do another one. I don't know how many you have.
I have
4 that I was
like
going to cover.
5.
Okay.
So back to Christopher Nolan and like getting started in making this movie. When he first like fully committed and signed on to this, he was really like kind of intimidated by the scale of what he was trying to do. So he reached out to Steven Spielberg, and who did Saving Private Ryan. So connections. And he gave him a lot of advice and gave him a print of Saving Private Ryan, which I don't know exactly what that is. I also meant to look it up, but forgot in all of my research because it was my first fact snack, that had only been viewed 12 times. So it must be some directing thing that they use. And they like that kind of helped him see how he wanted the story to be made, and kind of like gave him the confidence to do it. So we had a little bit of a World War II directing crossover here.
Small world.
I mean, I think the world of big time directors is pretty small.
I'm gonna let you go with one more, because one of mine's actually gonna be kind of 2 combined.
Okay. And then on the same note, like developing the story, like I said, he was like really interested in it. And after, talking to Steven Spielberg and understanding how he wanted the story to go, he went through a big phase in the pre-production where he decided he didn't want to have a script for this movie, because he just felt like he knew I believe the quote in the article was he knew the way he wanted the film to go.
I mean, there wasn't a lot of talking in the beginning, so he could have just given like general direction for the first like half of the movie. So
I thought that was really interesting, given that there is barely any dialogue. And then his wife, who is also apparently like his big producing partner, was like, you can't do that. And so he sat down and he wrote a 76-page script, which from what I know about,
seems pretty short.
Yes, films, is that usually, at least from television, like a standard script is like 1 page a minute ish. So definitely this movie was not a long movie, but it was definitely longer than 76 minutes. So I thought that was really interesting that he was like, nope, we're just going to wing it.
Yeah. I mean, based on what we thought for the first, I don't know, half an hour of the movie, that sounds very reasonable, but there was a lot more dialogue in the second half.
It definitely picked
about
up.
The ships coming in and all that sort of stuff. And
I was convinced it was going to be a silent film.
Yeah. My next note was about the weather and the location. So it actually was filmed on location. On the beaches. It was filmed a little bit further up from like just outside of Dunkirk, but it actually was filmed like on those beaches right there. So there's that clear water and everything that apparently is just what it looks like there, just across the English Channel. And this whole ordeal of Dunkirk took place basically end of May into June. So it would have been fairly warm, not very warm, but like a little bit. They said that actually, like, I think during filming, it wasn't too bad, people swimming in the water that was filmed there, but the scenes where they were like inside the ship that was taking on water and like inside the boats, that actually took place in a studio in LA.
Okay, that's what I figured.
So they had to, they actually said the water was way colder filming those scenes than actually swimming in there. And they had to do like all sorts of training and stuff in like the ocean, training outside, or like I guess to get used to all the stuff the stunts they'd have to do. They trained like actually in like the ocean water, just like outside of LA, and like, the water was like a lot colder for that. It's kind of funny to think about.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
I figured those kinds of stunts would need to be on a controlled soundstage area, but that's really cool that they actually were on location.
Just crazy filming like all of that like in Dunkirk, and then be like, oh, we're gonna finish the rest of it all the way in LA, just halfway across the world. But I guess that's how most movies that are take place anywhere else are filmed.
Definitely.
So that's all for that.
Okay, I thought you were doing 2.
That was the two.
That was
was
one. Okay,
the
so
location and we wanted to know about the
water.
actual the time of year, the weather, temperature, all that sort of stuff.
Okay. So my next fact snack is that actually I'm kind of going to do 2 in 1 here because Christopher Nolan didn't really want to rely on CGI. He wanted to do as much like practical effects as he could. So the first thing they did was on the beach, there's supposed to be 400,000 soldiers that are trying to evacuate the guys in the lines. That for a lot of the wide shots, instead of hiring 400,000 actors to stand out there,
expensive.
They essentially made fences that basically had cardboard cutouts on them and just would like have like one person propping them up from behind because they could like have a lot of people. So they just basically like made cardboard cutouts of people instead of hiring extras.
Now I kind of want to like zoom in and see that.
Right?
I wonder if they did that and then like still use CGI to kind of copy paste that so it wasn't quite as CGI'd. But
I don't know. They didn't like list specific scenes where you could, if you could tell or anything, but apparently for some of the like bigger wide shots, instead of hiring extras, they just popped up some cardboard cutouts, which I thought was really funny. And then on that same note of trying to avoid CGI is for the plane scenes, they did not want to CGI like the dogfights and all of that stuff. So they attached an IMAX camera to the wing of the planes and they would send them out on like, they would also use that for a lot of the like aerial and wide shots too. So they would just send this plane up for like 30 minutes at a time and then bring the camera down, check out the film and then do another thing. So they're just really trying to do it, which you know what? All of this podcast has taught me the practical effects are almost always better.
Nowadays, I think they would use more like drones. They also, I think, would have probably been able to stream some of that back live so they could like just have the plane circle back around. Because I think now if you think of all the drones with our consumer stuff, the drones are going to be way better to be able to be like, oh, let me just like stream 4K back to this controller and see that. I just imagine Christopher Nolan on the beach, like with like the VR goggles on. I would get so sick. I did see that in the historical accuracy section that the plane scenes were a lot lower in the movie than they would have been in real life. I think it would makes better storytelling when like the planes or the boats can actually see the planes a lot closer. A lot of them it felt like they were flying really close, but they would have been a bit higher than that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And my last fact snack was about a Highlander, and
I've been dying to know.
as one would assume, it was the like Scottish soldiers. It was like a regiment of that, a group of soldiers.
Okay, that makes sense.
It was I think until fairly recently that it actually then there's got basically merged into the general like UK, English, whatever, armed forces. But for a while it was kind of like this like Scottish regiment. I don't know the military term. So sorry if I get that wrong.
We have to apologize in every episode. We don't know the rankings or the terms or anything.
Yes, but you think like the Scottish Highlands, whatever, it was the Scottish kind of groups there.
That makes
he didn't have like a Scottish accent or anything. Right. And it didn't seem like any of them did either, but.
Or maybe the control people. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't remember like the specifics of around when it was used, but that does make sense.
Yeah. So that solves that mystery.
For sure. Definitely not the Radford Highlanders. And
funny enough.
My last fact snack is that Christopher Nolan also paid us a lot of attention to the fact that a lot of these boys at Dunkirk were going to be like young British soldiers. So he purposefully like sent the casting call out for unknown actors age 7
Styles.
Yeah, except for Harry Styles, which
I think it was his acting debut, but I think everyone knew who he was.
Yeah. And they put the age range of 17 to 19 because he's like, these boys haven't been on film sets. This is all like completely new to them. So then when you start exploding things around them, their reactions are going to be raw because it's not like they've done a lot of movies with crazy effects and things. And that's going to be a lot more of the feeling of what these soldiers were like. And this is one of those snacks where I was like, okay, he's really like the attention to detail that these people put into the movies they make and like really thinking about like, if I get fresh actors who haven't done this before, then we're going to get similar, not quite as real, but like similar reactions to what was actually happening when this was all happening. Cause these were just kids.
Which makes you then wonder, like if you're trying to get a bunch of like unknown people to play a lot of these roles and do all this, why did you have Cillian Murphy play Shivering Soldier? Right. It's just kind of weird. And Tom Hardy with a mask on his face half the time in a plane.
Well, but I did also read that Christopher Nolan likes to use a lot of the same people in his movies.
He used him from The Dark Knight Rises. Yeah. He used Cillian Murphy or later used him in Oppenheimer. I don't know if he used him.
I don't know if he'd used him in anything before, but I knew that what makes sense more of like, oh, I use the same people all the time.
Yeah. One more I just remembered was you were talking about the explosions and everything like that. He wanted to originally use like pyrotechnics to do all the explosions, but the I guess French government, or at least Dunkirk, like didn't want them to like blow up all the wildlife around there, so they had to use like air cannons and things to kind of like simulate all those explosions. So they had to get creative to like make it feel like an actual like bomb going off without using anything like actually like percussive force there, just kind of like mimic that without disturbing all that there. So I found that interesting.
Taking care of the environment. Love it.
Just love all the practical effects and the way they creatively do all these things.
It just, all of that and like what Foley artists do, like the way that people have to be creative to make movies, to me is what's so fascinating. I love it. And
I miss like DVD extras, because I would love to see something like this. Be like, here's this scene. And I don't know if they did this in a lot of the DVDs, but they really should, especially nowadays when it's so much easier to stream some of these things out. It's like, here's what this scene looked like before we added all the music to it. So, or before we added all the Foley art, whatever Foley artist background to it.
The article I was reading was quoting they said in the Blu-ray extra. So a lot of the information was probably from DVDs. I don't know what extent the Blu-ray had of this movie, but a lot of my information is actually coming from DVD extras, which I feel like is cool. Full circle. That this was still in the time of Blu-rays.
I totally forgot to look at the sound of the incoming planes there and why it had like that weird like siren-ish sound, or whether they actually did that or whether that was just kind of like a movie thing there. So in our season recap, I will try to remember to look that up.
Yes, I will set a reminder as soon as we wrap this to remember to look that up for whenever we do that. So, do you have any other thoughts, comments on Dunkirk?
I don't think so. Overall, enjoyed it. It's not something I'm gonna be like rushing back to watch, but I'm very glad that I did watch it. I feel cultured.
I'm glad it was included in the season. I do feel like it brought a different perspective for sure.
Still blows my mind that it's that old. We probably could have included Oppenheimer in this season, although we did that obviously in a previous season now, but it's still crazy to me just how quickly time goes.
Yep. So that wraps it up for Dunkirk and our World War II season. We will have one more bonus episode that will come out next time that will have all of our rankings, all of our thoughts, best movies, all of the things about our World War II season. And we'll also be sharing our upcoming season theme in that episode. So make sure you check that out and make sure that you are subscribed if you are watching on YouTube, and that you follow on all the places where there are podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc.
Like, subscribe, comment,
rate, review, all the things. If you have any questions or thoughts or things that we got horribly wrong, please email us at culturenightpod@gmail.com or message us on Instagram at culturenightpod. And we'll be back next time with our season 7 recap.
All right.
Cheers.